Hello and welcome back to the online learning session. Today we'll be moving ahead in chapter 1, resources and development. Let us quickly go through the topics to be covered in this lesson. Number 1, soil as a resource. Number 2, classification of soils, wherein we will be studying the alluvial soil, the black soil, the red and the yellow soil, the laterite soil, and soil erosion. So let us begin our discussion. Students, we have already seen in our previous classes that the most important natural resource is soil, because everything stands on soil. In the second point, we see it is the medium of plant growth and supports different types of living organisms. Students, if you remember chapter 5 of class 9th geography, we have already studied about the natural vegetation and wildlife. Can you relate these two terms, the plant growth with natural vegetation and the living organisms, to wildlife on the earth? In the point number 3, we see relief, parent rock or bedrock, climate, vegetation, and other forms of life and time are important factors in the formation of soil. Just to revise, students, if you remember the different factors which we have studied here, you can see in this very example, in this very diagram, that this is a mountain, and this mountain could be considered as a rock, and this rock will now get weathered by the agents of weathering such as rainfall, sunlight, winds, etc., and they will start the process of weathering, due to which this rock will start getting eroded, and after the rocks start getting eroded, they come down, and still the process of erosion goes on. Finally, in this due course, in the successive stages, as the boulders come down, they get converted into finer particles, and therefore when they reach the plains, they get deposited as soil. So this is how the soil formation on the surface of the earth takes place. Just to revise, point number 4, we see various forces of nature. So students, this also talks about the forces of nature, such as change in temperature, actions of running water, wind and glacier, which we have discussed right now here in this diagram. We studied about temperature, for example, when we studied about sunlight. So sunlight provides us temperature as well, actions of running water, wind and glaciers. So basically we are here talking about the different agents of weathering and erosion. We also see activities of decomposers contribute to the formation of soil. So point number 3 and point number 4 count as your factors of soil formation. Okay. Now in the point 5, we also get to see that chemical and organic changes also take place in the soil, which we will try to get into in the due course of this lesson. So students, in this diagram, you can see the basic structure of the soil. At the bottom, we see the unweathered parent or bedrock, clear, which is unweathered. So very little decomposition or defragmentation or erosion of this material takes place. If we level it as number 1, number 2, this one to be number 3, and this one to be number 4. So in the number 1, we see unweathered parent bedrock. Then the number 2, we see substratum weathered parent rock material, because as we go higher towards the surface of the earth, we see the agents of weathering coming into play, and therefore initiating the processes of erosion, decomposition and deposition. So therefore we see a bit of weathered parent rock material, still it is the parent rock. Then we see subsoil, weathered rocks, sand, silt and clay, and this one is the topmost or the upper soil layer. So this is how the formation takes place. We see that the agents of weathering are not able to penetrate the unweathered parent rock, but they are able to penetrate the top layers of the soil. Clear? So therefore, as the agents of weathering keep on penetrating the topmost layers, they keep on penetrating and getting inside the subsequent layers. Clear? So therefore they keep on initiating and carrying out the processes of decomposition, erosion and weathering, and this is how your soil is eventually formed. Let us move ahead and let us get into the topic of classification of soils. Students, we see that on the basis of the factors responsible for the soil formation, color, thickness, texture, age, chemical and physical properties, the soils of India are classified in different types. For example, here we are going to study 6 different types of soils. The first one is alluvial soils, second one is black soil, third one is red and yellow soils, fourth one is laterite soils, fifth one is arid soils, sixth one is forest soils. Just to mention, fifth and sixth will be covered in the next lesson, and you will find arid soils in the desert areas and forest soils in the forests. Clear? So let us begin our discussion on alluvial soil. Students, we have already seen almost in the series of lectures in class 9th in chapter 2 that the entire northern plains are made up of alluvial soil. Okay. Now how are they made up of alluvial soil? These have been deposited, and we see therefore that the deposition is by 3 important Himalayan river systems. Okay, and these 3 important Himalayan river systems, as we have already studied, are the Indus, the Ganga and the Brahmaputra river system. Just to correlate this with your diagram, let us try to use this following map. So this one will be our map number 1 and this one will be our map number 2, just for a bit of clarification. So in the map 1, please see the map 1. To the northwestern part of India, actually there is the flow of the river Indus. So here we can see I for Indus. Here in the Gangetic plains, in the northern plains of India, we can find the river Ganga to be operating and therefore getting drained into the Bay of Bengal. In this direction, parallel to the Indian landmass and therefore taking a sharp turn, U-turn from Namcha Barwa, the Brahmaputra river comes into force and therefore gets drained into the Bay of Bengal. So this is Brahmaputra. As we have discussed, while the rivers flow in their different courses, mostly in the young and mature phases, they do a lot of erosion. So a lot of erosional activities is done by the rivers, and all the eroded materials are therefore carried by the rivers. When these eroded materials come down in the levels lands which are known as plains, these eroded materials in the form of sand, silt, clay and finer particles get deposited. As you can see here, this side, if we talk about the river Indus to the northwestern parts of India, in the northern part of India if we talk about the river Ganga or the river Ganges, and to the north and northeastern parts of India, especially in Assam, etc., Arunachal Pradesh, etc., Brahmaputra deposits a huge amount of this soil. So this is how the entire northern plains are made up of alluvial soil, which you can see here in this map very easily. The color brown is showing the northern plains here and the deposition of the alluvial soil. We also get to see the deposition of alluvial soil on the eastern Ghats of India and to some fragmented parts of Rajasthan and Gujarat. So this was the distribution of alluvial soil. Here we are only studying about, our main focus is the entire northern plains. Okay. Now let us get back. Students, in the point 3, as we have already studied, right now these soils also extend in Rajasthan and Gujarat through a narrow corridor. It means through a narrow channel. In the number 4, we see alluvial soil is also found in the eastern coastal plains, particularly in the deltas of Mahanadi, the Godavari, the Krishna and the Kaveri rivers, which we were talking about right now. See, this area is Gujarat and this area is Rajasthan. Clear? So you can see that there is a narrow channel, there is a narrow corridor in which the alluvial soil is deposited and spreads. And here, as you can see on the eastern coast of India, you can see a lot of peninsular rivers and their deltas. So while the rivers come and drain at the mouths of the delta, we see a lot of deposition of the alluvial soil. So here if you see, you can find out easily, apart from Narmada and Godavari, all the peninsular rivers drain in the east side, that is the Bay of Bengal. They drain into the Bay of Bengal, whether we talk about Godavari, Krishna, Kaveri or Mahanadi. Clear? Let us get back. Now in the point 5 we see the alluvial soil consists of various proportions of sand, silt and clay, which we had studied in the point of formation of soil. In the point number 6 we see as we move inlands toward the river valleys, soil particles appear somewhat bigger in size. So if you keep on moving inwards the river valleys, you will find the soil particles becoming bigger and bigger in size. Then the next point we see in the upper reaches of the river valley, that is near the place of the break of slope, the soils are coarse. Such soils are common in Piedmont plains such as Duars, Chios and Tarai. Clear? Next point we see that according to their age, alluvial soils can be classified as old alluvial soil or older alluvium named as Bangar soil, and new alluvial soil or newer alluvium named as Khadar soils. Clear? Let us try to get into some more characteristics of Bangar. The Bangar soil has higher concentration of kankad. Kankad, as you know in Hindi, are nodules, and it has more concentration, it has higher concentration of kankad than the Khadar. It has more fine particles and is more fertile than the Bhangar. Now this is all about Khadar and Bhangar. Khadar is more fertile and has more finer particles than Bhangar. Clear? Let us see point number 4. It says alluvial soils as a whole are very fertile. Now why are these soils, either the Bhangar or Khadar, are very fertile? Why? So we'll try to not go specifically into Bhangar or Khadar. So we see most of these soils contain adequate proportion of. Students, this is an important point. When you study about the fertility of soils, you need to memorize, you need to learn what kind of nutrients does it actually contain, because all these nutrients are actually making the soil fertile. So this could be directly asked, that what are the nutrients contained by the alluvial soil which makes it very fertile. So we see potash, phosphoric acid, lime, which is ideal for the growth of sugarcane, paddy, wheat and other cereal and pulse crops. Now if you find some difficulties in remembering all these kinds of nutrients, let me just give you a technique, a short trick to memorize all this. You take out Pa from phosphoric acid, so it comes as P, because students, see, it's very important to memorize all this. Clear? So therefore you need a trick to remember all this till your examinations. So Pa from your phosphoric acid become phosphoric and A for acid, then this L could be taken out from here, then this comes as L for lime, and then you take out the P from this potash, then it becomes PALP, pulp. Now you can easily remember the nutrients in the alluvial soil as pulp. Pa for phosphoric acid, L for lime and P for potash. Now I think it becomes easier for you to remember. Clear? And if you want to remember the crops which are ideal, which are grown on this type of soil, these are S, P, W, C, P. Okay? Now the SP and CP you have already studied. The SP, the CP, I think these are terms related to mathematics, and this is just a W. So SP, CP, W. That's it. Okay? Sugarcane, paddy, cereal, pulse crops and wheats. So PALP, SP, CP, selling price, cost price, and W. Clear? So this is a trick which you can utilize, incorporate in order to memorize these concepts. Let us move ahead. In point number 5, we see due to its high fertility, regions of alluvial soils are intensively cultivated. Yes, of course, in order to have more and more production of food grains, we will be intensively cultivating these crops. Plus we have also seen in chapter 6 of geography class 9 that these regions will be densely populated, and the densely populated regions have an intensive subsistence farming kind of cultivation. That's why, and properly if we talk about some regions, Bihar comes into it. Bihar fits in this type of category very well. Now come to point number 6. Soils in the drier areas are more alkaline and can be productive after proper treatment and irrigation. Now I want you to tell me, what do you mean by alkali? In the comment section you will be telling me, or in the post section you will be writing the answer of the what do you actually mean by this term alkali. Okay. Now once the soils get alkaline, it starts losing the fertility. So therefore a proper treatment of the soil is needed, and therefore after proper treatment and irrigation, the soils can be used in drier areas as well. So basically, if we are trying to learn about alkalis, alkalis are the bases which are soluble in water. Clear? Let us move ahead, and this, in the first diagram, in the first map, we have already seen the distribution of the alluvial soil in the entire northern plains, in the eastern Ghats, and some corridors of Rajasthan and Gujarat. Clear? Now we see, you also go through this diagram which is given in your map. So basically, when we talk about the alluvial soil, the distribution of alluvial soil, the question will be raised as, let us go through the slides and see what type of questions could be raised. Exactly, the point number 1 says that where does the alluvial soil has the maximum concentration in India. Second talks about the rivers which form the alluvial soils. Then we see fourth, where else in the peninsular regions we can find the alluvial soil. Next, questions can be asked directly from Bhankar and Khadar. And next we see that what kind of crops could be grown on this type of soil, and the most important question which is related to the map skills can be asked in this form, that show the distribution of alluvial soils on an outline map of India. So where do we see the alluvial soil? This is the index for alluvial soil. Try to find out the light green color. So entire northern plains, very easily you can find out, right from Assam in the east till Punjab in the west, then covering the regions of Rajasthan to Gujarat, and coming down to the eastern Ghats, we see the eastern coastal plains. Almost the entire edge of the coastal plain is occupied by this type of soil. Why? Because the peninsular rivers form delta at their mouths which drain into the Bay of Bengal. Therefore a lot of deposition of alluvial soil can be easily found in the eastern Ghats. Clear? Now students, we will be moving to another set of soils, and we will be learning about black soil. Clear? Or regur soil. Students, first of all, we see that these soils are black in color. That's why they are named as black soil, and they are known as regur soils as well in the down south India. Therefore they are referred to as black soil. Okay, a direct question here: which type of crop is grown on the black soil, or which type of soil is ideal for the growth of cotton? So we see that cotton is grown on the black soil, therefore it is also known as black cotton soil. In the second point, we see the type of soil is typical of the Deccan Trap. Now what is Deccan Trap? I think this chapter will also make you revise the chapter 2, physical features of India, from class 9. So here, this is the region of Deccan Plateau, and basically the lavas which were trapped in the formation of this Deccan Plateau of the peninsular plateau region forms what is known as the Deccan Trap. Why trap? Because we see that the basalt region spread over northwest Deccan Plateau is made up of lava flows. So usually it's a thesis, it's a theory that we come to know that all this region was surrounded by volcanoes at some point of time, and when the volcanoes got deposited, when they erupted, the volcanoes deposited their lava on these surfaces, and in due course of time they got cooled and solidified under the top surface of this peninsular block, the Deccan Plateau. Therefore this region is known as the Deccan Trap. Now let us see the very important question which is related to the distribution of soils. Students, you need to memorize the regions or the names of the states as well which are covered by the types of soil. So here we see that the black soil, if you also come to the map, that the black soil is found in the regions of Maharashtra. Here lies your Maharashtra. Let me just clear it off. And this region is your Maharashtra, then Saurashtra and Malwa Plateau, and Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh. Then we come to the region which is almost touching Gujarat. This is Saurashtra Plateau, then here is Malwa Plateau, then Malwa is situated adjacent to MP, and then we come to this side, then this side we can find Chhattisgarh, and we see that they extend in the southeast direction along the Godavari and Krishna valleys. So here in the down south you can find the Godavari and the Krishna valleys. So this is all about the distribution of the black soil. Now this also gets equally applicable to the topic of alluvial soil. If we talk about the regions where these soils are distributed, we have just seen that it is in the north distributed right from Assam to, here is Assam, Assam to Punjab. Now whatever states lie in between Assam and Punjab can be easily named. For example, let us take the names of a few states. We see Assam, we see here West Bengal, then we see Bihar, then we see Uttar Pradesh, then we see Uttarakhand, and to the extreme northwest we see Punjab. Clear? So if you even name this much states, it would be sufficient. Okay, so this is how we come to study about. Let us go through a few more characteristics of the black soils. Students, we see that the black soils are made up of extremely fine, that is clay materials, extremely fine particles, as fine as the clay. The second point, we see that due to this structure, it is well known for the capacity to hold moisture. It can hold huge amounts of moisture. Next, in the point number 3, again an important point which is related to the nutrients. Clear? Now this soil is rich in soil nutrients such as calcium carbonate, magnesium, potash and lime. Clear? So this point here becomes important to be noted down by you people. In the point number 4, we see the soils are generally poor in phosphoric contents. Okay, so rich in these kinds of elements, rich in number 1 and deficient in number 2 in phosphoric contents. Now another characteristic of this type of soil is that they develop deep cracks during hot weather, which helps in the proper aeration of the soil. The soils are sticky when wet and difficult to work on unless tilled immediately after the first shower or during the pre-monsoon period. So it basically says that there is a bit of difficulty when there is a wet weather or the first shower, and it is a bit more easier to work on these soils in summer. Okay, so if you want to work on this soil, if the farmers or any kind of person wants to work on this kind of soil properly, then this soil is needed to be tilled immediately after the first shower or during the pre-monsoon period, so that you prevent it from getting wet. Clear? Let us move ahead. Now students, we will get into red and yellow soil. Now two important points which I would like to make here is that the first and the most important soil in this chapter is alluvial soil. So while you are studying alluvial soil, please go through the finer characteristics of these soils. For example, what are these soils made up of, the Bhangar and the Khadar portion of this soil. Then we come to know about that these soils are formed by the Himalayan rivers. Then we come to know about the nutrients contained by this soil and the regions in which they are spread, the distribution of this soil basically. Second most important point is that your second most important soil in this chapter is black soil. And why is it so, students? Because we see the alluvial soil and the black soil to be occupying the majority of the portion of the Indian landmass, plus they also support the major crops of India. Now we come to red and yellow soil. Let us get into the topic of red and yellow soil. Red soil develops on crystalline igneous rocks in areas of low rainfall. This has to be noted here. Low rainfall areas in the eastern and southern parts of the Deccan Plateau. So basically it talks about the Deccan Plateau which we were studying right now. Clear? Second, we see that yellow and red soils are also found in the parts of Odisha. So basically this point number 2 speaks about the distribution of this soil, the regions in which these soils are found. Odisha, Chhattisgarh, southern parts of the middle Ganga plain along the Piedmont zone of the western Ghats. Next we see that these soils develop a reddish color due to diffusion of iron in crystalline and metamorphic rocks. Students, you might be aware of the compound named iron oxide. So basically this turns the color of this soil into red. Now it looks yellow when it occurs in a hydrated form. Clear? So you know the basic difference between the color of this soil to be yellow and to be red, when it becomes yellow and when it becomes red. When Iron is diffused in this soil, it becomes red. That is the basic nature of iron, and it looks yellow when it gets hydrated. So students, we will see the distribution of red and yellow soil now. Okay, so here we have the red and yellow soil, pink in color. So try to find out the regions which are pink in color. This region, this region, this region, all these regions which we have studied right now. Now let us get back in order to correlate it more effectively. We have seen that this type of soil is found in the eastern and southern parts of the Deccan Plateau. Let us correlate this. Now the eastern and southern parts of the, this is the eastern and this is the southern part of the Deccan Plateau. Next we see yellow and red soils are also found in Odisha, Chhattisgarh, southern parts of the Middle Ganga Plain. Let us identify first of all Odisha. Here you can find Odisha, and next to Odisha is Chhattisgarh. Now if this is the Ganga Plain, then this is the South Middle Ganga Plain. Clear? It means the regions which is touching the Deccan Plateau. Okay, then we come to the Western Ghats. Now these regions here, as you can see, are the regions of the Western Ghats where you can find this type of soil. Clear? Now let us move ahead and we'll be learning one more soil, that is laterite soil. Clear? Let us get into the topic. Laterite has been derived from the Latin word later, which means brick. I hope it hints something to you, students. In number 2, we see the laterite soil develops under tropical and subtropical climate with alternate wet and dry season. In the point 3, we see that this soil is the result of intense leaching due to heavy rain. These are deep to very deep, acidic, where pH is less than 6. Students, I hope you know about the term pH. It basically means potence of hydrogen, which means the potential of hydrogen. It actually determines the acidity or the amount of base in a substance. Clear? So if it is less than 6, the substance is considered to be acidic in nature. Now it is also deficient in plant nutrients and occur mostly in southern states, Western Ghats region of Maharashtra, Odisha, some parts of West Bengal, and northeast regions. Now this is an important point which needs to be highlighted here. It's deficient in plant nutrients, occurs mostly in southern states, Western Ghats region of Maharashtra. Then it occurs on the eastern coast as Odisha, West Bengal, and northeastern regions. Clear? Let's get into the next point, where these soils support deciduous and evergreen forests. It is humus rich, but under sparse vegetation, and in semi-arid environment it is generally humus poor. So we get to see that where it gets sumptuous amounts of forests, it is humus rich, and where it goes through a sparse vegetation, it is poor in humus. Clear? Therefore less fertile. Come to number 5, they are prone to erosion and degradation due to their position on the landscape. So these soils are more prone to erosion and degradation. Let us see the point number 6. After adopting appropriate soil conservation techniques, particularly in the hilly areas of Karnataka, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, this soil is very useful for growing tea and coffee. Okay, so one more important aspect of this soil is that it supports coffee as well. Now let us see point number 7. Red laterite soils are found in Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, and Kerala. Soils which are basically found in Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, and Kerala are more suitable for crops like cashew nut. That's why we see most of the cashews coming from down south. So this is all about the laterite soil. Let us move ahead, and here you can see the distribution. This is how your laterite soil looks like, and in this map you can easily find the regions where this laterite soil is found. Now let us get back and try to correlate what we have learned here. Now students, we have learned that these soils are found in the regions mostly in southern states, Western Ghats region of Maharashtra, Odisha, West Bengal, and northeast regions. Now let's try to identify. Now these are your southern states. This is your Odisha, West Bengal region, northeastern states, Maharashtra. Clear? So This was all about the first distribution, and the second we see after adopting appropriate soil conservation techniques, we can also find these soils in Karnataka, Kerala and Tamil Nadu, where it is generally used for growing tea and coffee, while the red laterite soils of Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh and Kerala are suitable for growing cashew nut. So two questions directly from here: that after adopting appropriate soil conservation techniques, the laterite soils found in the Karnataka, Kerala and Tamil Nadu region of India are useful for growing which type of crops? And the same question goes here, that cashew nut in India is supported by which kind of soil? Okay, let us try to move ahead in the chapter. As we have already said, that the rest of the two soils and the topic of soil conservation will be covered in the next class. So let us try to learn about soil erosion. I think you are also aware of the topic. Let us go through it. What is soil erosion? The denudation of soil cover. It means the breaking down of the soil cover, and subsequent washing down is described as soil erosion. So basically, if this is the soil, so this soil cover basically breaks down due to any of the agents of weather, and after, when it gets washed away, then this type of the removal of the top layer of soil is known as soil erosion. Now students, one very important point is the formation of soil and the soil erosion. These two processes go on simultaneously in nature, so that there is a balance between the two. Balance between the two means what? Balance between the soil formation and the soil erosion. Clear? Next we see sometimes this balance is disturbed due to human activities like deforestation, which contribute to soil erosion, overgrazing, construction and mining, while natural forces like wind, glacier and water lead to soil erosion. And this will also lead us to topics like different types of soil erosion as well, which we will be studying right now. So here it takes us to the topic of types of soil erosion. Now students, as you can see very clearly, it is mentioned what is gully erosion here, what is sheet erosion, what is wind erosion, and of course what is water erosion, the general type of soil erosion. So basically these are types of soil erosion. Students, number one is gully erosion, second is sheet erosion, and third is wind erosion. Clear? So these are types of soil erosion. What we are learning in this topic, we are learning about the soil erosion and the types of soil erosion. So we see the running water cuts through the clay soils and makes deep channels as gullies. So basically the running water cuts through the clay soils, makes deep channels as gullies, and the land becomes unfit for cultivation, known as bad land, and this type of erosion is usually referred to as gully erosion. Let us take a quick look at the gully erosion. So in this picture, students, you can clearly see that the erosion of the soil has penetrated deep and made channel-like structures in the surface of the land, and these channel-like structures in the surface of the land are known as gullies, which leave the land as bad land, and now the soil is not fit for cultivation. So this is a very good example of gully erosion. You can see that these channels are just like gullies found in our muhallas or areas. So that is why it has also been named as gully. Next we see what is sheet erosion in the Chambal basin. Now I want you people to find me where is Chambal. Okay, we have studied this in chapter 2 of physical features of India in class 9. So kindly tell me where is Chambal basin. Such lands are called as ravines. Now we see sometimes water flows as a sheet over large areas down a slope. Sheet means water will flow like this. It will have a length and it will have a breadth in structure, and when you see the length and breadth, you will be able to find that this appears as a sheet. Can you relate it? Okay, so what happens in this case? In this case, the top soil is washed away. So for example, assume that this area had a layer of soil in length and breadth. So when water comes flowing like this in length and breadth, So it washes away the top layer of the soil, the whole rectangular area. For example, here assume that this area is rectangular, the whole rectangular area, the top layer of this rectangular area is washed away. It means the top sheet of the surface is washed away by the flowing water, and therefore a sheet is washed away, therefore it is known as sheet erosion. Let us try and see some diagrams. Here students, you can easily see, assume if water was flowing right like this is a sheet. Just consider this as a sheet, and if water was flowing like this, then water did what? Water eroded the top sheet of this surface of the land, and therefore the complete sheet got washed away and therefore eroded. Therefore it is known as sheet erosion. Next is wind erosion. It's very easy. Wind blows loose soil off flat or sloping land, known as wind erosion. So when the erosion of soil is carried out by wind, therefore it is known as wind erosion, and this is usually caused off flat or sloping land. Now let us go through a diagram or a picture so that you can easily identify. Now you can see this is a region full of desert, and when the wind will blow the sand away off flat or sloping land, then this will cause wind erosion. So the top layer of the soil is being blown away by wind. Clear? So this is a type of wind erosion. I hope it's clear. Let's get back. Now there are some other methods of erosion as well, students, which I would like you to go through. Soil erosion is also caused due to defective methods of farming. Okay, so when your methods of farming are defective, that can also lead to soil erosion, because it can leave the top layer of the soil to be loosened. Clear? Next we see that plowing in a wrong way, that is up and down the slope, form channels for the quick flow of water, leading to soil erosion. So students, when we see that the plowing is done in a wrong way, it makes channels. Okay, so when there are channels in the soil, it becomes good path for water to flow down. Okay, and when water will flow down, when you make good pathways for water to flow down, it will wash away the top layer of the soil, therefore causing soil erosion. So I hope the topics are very clear. Let us go through the pictures again. So this was your gully erosion, this is your sheet erosion, and this is your wind erosion, and this is basically your water erosion. Students, you can see easily that water is flowing this way. Okay, now it has a length, it has a breadth. Now you can see that there are rocks lying across the sides, to the right hand side and to the left hand side of the water body, and we can easily see that they have been eroded by this water body. So once it used to flow on this height, now it has eroded all the rock structures and it has come down to this height. So this is basically what is known as the water erosion, which we have learnt in chapter drainage of class 9th, that when river flows down the mountains, the slopes of the mountains, it has huge potential energy in it, and as it keeps on flowing down the slopes, all the potential energy gets converted into kinetic energy, and due to this kinetic energy and momentum, the rocks get eroded. So that's it for the day, students. Utilize your energy, time efficiently. I hope you all are doing good. Make notes, read the text religiously, and answer the questions of the assignments in a proper manner. Thank you.